Well, good morning, all. Once again, we're upon the day that changed the world. That would be September 11th, 2001, 20 years ago already. We're here having our little coffee. Help. Beatles help, because we all need some help. This country's in distress. Anyway, it's been 20 years. I'm posting this to intersperse my commentary in black and white because it's pretty much in black and white what happened. The coincidences that led up to that day are astronomical, similar to the coincidences what's going on now. Coincidence so vast that you could probably, if it was you personally had that many coincidences, you could go to the lottery and win 5 times in a row. But anyway, yeah. That is the bellwether day that changed everything, with Patriot Act, with droning American citizens and foreign wars, one we just supposedly ended. It's just mind-boggling. The search for bin Laden that led to the 20-year war. But I'm just going to break down the main components of that day, not things are in the peripheral of that day, but things that led up to that day. Not up to that day, on that day. Okay, so, and make no mistake, the people that were involved in that are the same people. Not necessarily the same people, because probably a lot of them have passed away, but it's the same entity. The torch has been passed to new treasonous pieces of shite that are currently running the scandemic on the world. See, they've upgraded it from a centralized country situation to wars in certain countries to a global scale psyop. So what we're going to see here now is the collapse of Building 1 and 2. Notice how they fall in free fall speed. It's never happened since. It's never happened before. Will never happen again.
And only one of the towers was hit.
Yeah, well,
and I watched on the news, giant jumbo jet crash very intentionally into the
I knew everything was going to be so kind of.
And the Pentagon was
I think I'm just going to this.
so right at 9 o'clock when people are at work.
It's quiet.
Yeah, it was like the first one was at like 10 to 9.
Yeah, the funny was
Yeah,
I
I walked by, I was walking by. They both hit. Something's coming out. Something's coming
See
out.
that? Oh my god, the whole building is Yep. Yeah, old top fell.
I don't know.
God! Oh my god, look at that explosion!
All eyes look towards the sky. It was the most surreal scene I have ever seen.
The fire continues to burn. I can see the flames through the thick smoke.
Yeah.
Now people are gathering in large groups. In fact, in one corner I saw a group of people actually holding hands and praying. As I stand on the Manhattan Bridge, which is closed, it is open to pedestrian traffic. Some people are working across, but there's just no way for them to... as I look at it, something is... I can't... It looks like that the building is going. Is that the building going down? Is that the second building of the World Trade Center going down?
Yes, that is the second tower. That is the second tower.
It's a huge plume of smoke that came out of the middle of the building, and then the building just disappeared into the smoke.
Is this the second building that has gone down? It came out like a plume of smoke, like a banana unpeeling. Plumes of smoke coming out, and then absolutely nothing. And now where there were 2 huge buildings, 2 huge towers, there is now nothing.
It was pandemonium.
Absolutely unbelievable morning.
People began screaming. The building began crumbling. And what we saw on the street was nothing.
To the Pentagon. Notice this is the only footage of the most surveilled building in the entire world of the plane hitting the building. This is the one footage from a webcam, I don't even, just a security cam near a guard post. Here we go. Notice, do you see a plane hitting? Do you see a giant 747 hitting that building? and look at the remnants of the building. Is there a plane there? We now move on to Shanksville, Flight 9, is it 93? Flight 93 in Shanksville. Plane that crashed, the old let's roll and get them terrorists who took the plane with box cutters. Here's the site of the plane crash. Show me where the plane is. And now for the creme de la creme of the whole thing that went on. Here is Building 7. Building what? Building 7. The Solomon Brothers building. The 47-story building that housed Giuliani's command center, which he wasn't at that day. That was the New York City Command Center in emergencies. It had just been ironically moved to a FEMA thing because FEMA was running drills that day. Ironically, up around 42nd Street, I believe. But look, this is a building that no planes hit, and yet it fell about eight hours later into its own footprint. However, notice I'm going to show a quick clip prior to that. This is the BBC news reporter reporting on the collapse of Building 7, the Solomon Brothers building. Except it's right over her shoulder. Right over her shoulder. Didn't collapse yet. Wow, aren't they Nostradamus?
Disappeared now, and New Yorkers still unable to take on board what has happened to them today.
Presumably there were very few people in the Solomon building when it collapsed. I mean, there were, I suppose, fears of possible further collapses around the area.
That's what you would hope, because this whole downtown area behind me has been completely sealed off and evacuated, apart from the emergency workers. That was done by the mayor, Rudy Giuliani, much earlier today because of, course, the dreadful collapse of the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. But New York, very much a city still in chaos. The phones are not working properly, the subway lines are not working properly, and we know that down there near the World Trade Center there are 3 schools that are being turned into triage centers for emergency treatment. And I know that over in New York Harbor, where the famous Statue of Liberty is, there's a field hospital where 1,500 people are being treated, and we have heard, though it's unconfirmed as yet, that 100 New York City police officers have been taken there as well for treatment, but we do need to confirm those figures for the officers.
It's now, what, some 8 hours since the attacks. Is there any estimate yet available of the number of casualties in the World Trade Center?
I think we can only...
Well, there you go. There's my little video on 9/11. Bless the souls of the 3,000 people that died in the initial attacks, and the many people that have died afterwards, because those buildings were loaded with PCBs. I know, I had worked in them buildings in different aspects, so I know of all the asbestos and lead and junk that were in those buildings. But you can believe that Osama bin Laden, also known as Timothy Osman, a CIA asset who was in a cave with a laptop on that day, coordinated the most sophisticated attack on the United States with 18 low IQ hijackers with box cutters. Imagine the technology they had back then. That people were even making calls from cell phones and on plane phone receivers at 30,000 feet. I can't even make a cell phone call today if I'm out of network in a town like an hour and a half away. But yet they had the technology then. Amazing how technology at certain points digresses. It was so sophisticated, but now it's not. You still can't even make a phone call on a plane at 30,000 feet. But that day you could. But anyway, like I said, God bless all the people that passed in that horrible, treasonous act, and all the people that have since died through cancers during the cleanup. Horrible, horrible. Well, there's my thoughts. Leave a comment below. Let's see how this current iteration of that attack, which we're experiencing right now, plays out.